Okay, lovelies. This is an emo filter. And I'm going to give you the rundown of what I think different subgroups are like as a goth person. As a self-identified goth person. Okay. I'm going to start with punk. And that's still a subculture that's going strong, and there's lots of different types, I'm sure. For me, I'm going to speak about the internal disposition of being punk. I think being punk is noticing the world and being pissed off. It's when you are angry. I feel like the woman in me at this point wants to get some gasoline and light a match. And don't do any harm, please. I'm not advocating that. I'm just saying, like, that disposition, if you notice what's going on in the world and you are angry. You're angry. And you're trying to find a way to express that. And that there's kind of an edgy look that goes along with that. That's a little bit harder oftentimes, and is wanting to kind of opt out of the system because they don't believe in the system anymore and they're pissed. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that, but goth has been going around for around the same amount of time, and someday maybe I'll go into all the roots. But goth has a lot of different subcategories, but for me, and why I'm goth internally, is this. Being goth to me is seeing the ugliness in the world and not being afraid of it. You look at it and you don't turn away, and you find beauty in elements of it. You're able to find beauty in the darkness. And there's a sadness, I think, to goth, but it's going to be different than some of the sadness of other groups. It's a lonely feeling sometimes, like a loneliness, a melancholy, existential depression that carries on. And goths have fun and all that stuff, but there's that element of isolation is what I feel a lot of goth people experience, and that's not necessarily meant in a way that is ungood. A lot of goth people want to have that space to just be alone. For me, I realized recently that one of the reasons I love actual goth spaces is because I'm autistic. And it was a place that I found that felt right and comfortable for me, being depressed and autistic and not realizing I was autistic. There's space for me to just exist around other people and to not have to perform for other people. To just be weird and alone, and if I wanted to be sad. Now, there is some elements of that with, like, post-punk, like sadness is rebellion. So that you're going to see a crossover in a lot of different subcategories of these main categories. And for aesthetics, I tend to do more Lolita goth fashion, which is going to connect with the eboy, egirl stuff a little bit. And I tend to do graver fashion, which is going to connect to ravers, but goth style. And I do Victorian goth. I do skis goth, but like sort of like an element of, this is a certain look with it, with certain corsets and like things like that. That's how I describe what it looks like. I do have a little bit of Portuguese in me. It's European, you guys. It's okay. So then we move on to emo. And I grew up around emo, and there was like the music and stuff and all that. And for me, emo is noticing the world and being really distressed. You're distressed, but you're not turned into anger. You're angry, and so you're yelling. You're yelling and you're saying, this is wrong. I am upset by this. This makes me feel angst. For goth, it's melancholy and apathy. For emos, it's angst. Coming as a goth person, making judgments here, okay? And I think that's really beautiful. I resonate a lot with that. And then we get with the emo look, it's gonna be a lot of t-shirts, and you're gonna do more skinny pants instead, which I prefer. I like a good skinny pants. Don't get me, I love me a good black skinny pant, okay? Okay, that's just put it there. If I'm wearing pants, that's the kind of pants I'm wearing. Because they're good. They're awesome. You have the hair look for some of the style. Oh my gosh. I just can't do the sensation in my face, but I do feel like there's a little bit of emo in me. So I think I'm a little bit Venn diagram, but the majority is goth, okay? And I think it's great for people to feel. I do. I think it's good to express. But another disposition I've noticed with emo people is kind of not wanting to be around. Because it's hard. And I get that too. I've been there. But to just be so overwhelmed that you don't know what to do. You know, that's a thing. And then you get into the eboy, egirl stuff, which I don't know as much about. But I do like a lot of the influence. And for me, internally, it seems to me that there is a more lightness to it. Where, like, yeah, you're noticing the bad things in the world, but you want to be okay. You want to be okay. And maybe that's not how one of them would express it, but it's more like the lightheartedness coming in from the Japanese and, like, Asian cultures, like, influence in style and fashion of, like, these different subcultures that we have here, and wanting to enjoy the life that we have. It seems more joyous. And that doesn't mean that the other subgroups don't have joy. It just, there's a little bit more fun to it. It's a youthful feeling. Though any age can be anything, but there's a lightness to it. And I like that. A light edge. And like I said, there's some things that I really like. Like, if I was going to be anything nowadays and I didn't have goth, I would probably be eboy, egirl kind of in style for my main style. And that goes very well with cosplayers. I do love, oh my god, I'm such a cosplayer. So much. Everything's a costume for me, you guys. The world is my stage. And yeah, those are the main categories. So I feel like there's also music that's going to go along. There's going to be different dispositions. But for me, I like to go with what's internal, because sometimes we don't always display outwardly how we feel. I was goth as soon as I found out about it. I just wasn't able to show it. And I don't show it all the time in my videos. A lot of my videos, I am in a nightgown. I'm not even going to lie. I am not getting dressed. Or a basic little black dress. I'm not going all the way out because it's a lot of effort, and I want to focus videos on for you guys. And, like, I actually am doing a web series. So, like, yeah, I am making legit content where I have to do legit editing. And there's a lot of things I'm learning, and it just takes a lot of time. So I'm making music. I'm doing lots of weird stuff. And I don't always have time to get dressed to just make a, like, 10-minute video.